So, to update the Sean Diddy Combs criminal case, so I'm basically wondering whether the defense will move to dismiss at least a portion of the government's case against defendant Combs, right? Because it seems to me, as I have said repeatedly, and of course, this is just my opinion. I am not an expert on any of this. It's all just conversation, you guys. I defer to the experts to correct me on this stuff. But it seems to me that at least a certain prong of the case, the racketeering prong, needs to be dismissed and quickly. And so I wonder whether if I'm handling this case, I'm probably going to move to dismiss the racketeering prong. I mean, what do you guys think about that? If you are a lawyer, does that even make sense, right? It's like you move to dismiss. It's like you play offense, right? I mean, you're a defense, but you're playing offense. You're not sort of just sitting back waiting for the prosecution to spew whatever it's going to spew. You're going to say that, look, I mean, even if everything the government has said is true so far, insofar as, you know, Diddy's relationship with his girlfriend, the violence, and so on. I mean, what we're dealing with at best is assault, right? But these actions, assault in and of itself, does not rise to the level of federal offenses and racketeering and trafficking. And when you listen to all the gossip YouTubers and so on, they seem to be conflating that like a lot. He beat up his girlfriend, so therefore he's guilty of racketeering and trafficking and all the like. This is not logical, at least in my way of thinking. So I would be moving to dismiss the racketeering prong immediately, unless the government can come up with some extra something, like some extra defendants in this conspiracy, right? Nobody else has been indicted. I mean, they need to come up with something, or I'm moving to dismiss that prong of the case, right? Immediately. The video was a key element, is a key element to the government's case, right? And it shows the defendant assaulting Cassie, who it was his girlfriend at the time. And who released, first of all, one of the things I would want to know is who actually released this video to the press. Was it the government, the prosecution, who had this video and released it to the press specifically to inflame public opinion and prejudice the defendants in the eyes of both the media and the broader community? Because this would be, to me, a form of misconduct, right? And that's precisely why grand jury material and other, data like that are sensitive, and it should be confidential, in my opinion. It should never have been leaked. And the leak was an attempt, in my opinion, to smear the defendant before he had a chance to defend himself in court. And that should be subject to sanctions, right? As far as I'm concerned. Now, the defendant assaulted his girlfriend. We saw that on the tape. It makes him a monster in my eyes for that reason, right? But not necessarily a racketeer without more. What they have here is not racketeering, right? And his actions this assault, it's a state crime. He should be subject to some kind of consequence, but it is not racketeering, a federal crime, right? And he should not be, subject to, they can't, as far as I'm concerned, they have not shown any of the key elements, such as the commercial profit prong of the racketeering crime, to make out a prima facie racketeering case against this defendant, and it should be dismissed, right? Now, again, he did assault his girlfriend, and it's troubling, very troubling that he did that. And he should pay consequences for that, or bear consequences for that. But assault does not prove involvement in a criminal enterprise, nor does it demonstrate that he engaged in any form of trafficking or transportation, all those other prongs, right? I mean, these people were having a long-term relationship, 11 years, right? And they had their kinks, it seems, right? And they did certain things. They're adults. What can I say? But it's still not racketeering. It's not a federal crime. The video is definitely sensational, but it is irrelevant to the charges at hand, and therefore this case, that prong of the case should be dismissed. That would be like, I'm coming out swinging with that if I was a lawyer on this case. The government needs to prove more than isolated incidents of wrongdoing. I mean, they have this one tape of him beating down his girlfriend, and presumably some other tapes with them in flagrant delicto with third parties. Um, that is not racketeering, right? Racketeering requires evidence of a pattern of organized criminal conduct, and that is not here. This is not what's here. This is a video of a man beating up his girlfriend. Many men beat up their girlfriends, and their girlfriends get orders of protection. They may do some prison time. They do community service. They get some therapy. They pay restitution here. He paid $30 million in restitution, that kind of thing. They don't get locked up in a federal penitentiary for the rest of their lives because they beat up their girlfriend, as monstrous as that is. And again, be clear, that is very monstrous what he did. Nobody's saying that what he did was wonderful. Nobody's saying that what he did that should be without any consequences to him. But we are saying that this is not racketeering, and that the government's racketeering case against this defendant should be dismissed, right? Even if true, even if the government's allegations are true, they do not add up to the crimes that this defendant is charged with, racketeering in particular. And so I would respectfully ask the court, if I were the attorney on this case, to dismiss that portion of the indictment based on the insufficiency of the charges against this particular defendant. So I don't know whether his lawyers are going to move to dismiss, but that would definitely be my first move, coming out of the starting block, with fire coming out of my ears and every other part of my nose, is just like move to dismiss. Step one. I mean, do I think it would be dismissed? I mean, given that the presiding judge denied bail in this case, I mean, probably not. But these things can be appealed to a higher court, right? Because again, you can't just be charging people with a federal crime when you don't meet the elements of the crime, even if you are the U.S. prosecutor. You know what I mean?